Welcome to Seattle Side Up TV. My name is Abraham Deweese. Today we'll be covering soccer news, mainly the Sounders versus San Jose, the U.S. Open Cup, MLS officiating, and the U.S. Women's National Team. With us online right now is Richard Michelson, soccer editor.
Hey Abe, how's it going?
Doing great. How are you?
I've had better weeks as a Sounders fan.
I think we all have. Well, let's get right into it. Let's go ahead and start with the game that was yesterday. The Sounders played San Jose to a 0-2 loss.
Yeah, it was definitely not one of the better matches of the season. I think that oh man, I think that they were gassed. I mean,
They were
is
definitely
really.
gassed.
I mean, we had two guys out there, actually three guys out there, Rose, Marshall, and Azira, who'd already played 120 minutes
Oh
on
my God.
Tuesday.
Well, they had already played in that overtime game,
In
the
the
U.S. Open
overtime.
Cup.
Yeah, full extra time. And Evans started, and he'd played most of that match. I mean, he played a good 70 minutes in the U.S. Open Cup before he got sent off with a red card, and he played, yesterday until he went out with an apparent injury of some sort. And I mean, we're just kind of getting nicked and dinged up or gassed. I
Yeah,
mean,
getting nickel and dime, definitely. Andy Rose and Azira really aren't even starters.
yeah, I mean, I have to agree with, especially with the depth. I mean, with the depth that we have here. I mean, Rose is kind of sort of supposed to be like our super sub in the
Yes.
midfield. He's your Mark McLemore of the infield. Kind of play every match, but maybe not start every match.
Right.
Come in at the 60-minute mark. Pretty much every match he doesn't start. Start on the other wing opposite Marco Papa some of the time, but kind of interchange with Nagel and Papa, and now Roldan and Tomas.
You bet.
So
I know that.
he's definitely not a starter.
No. But I did see that Rose got a great shot in the 34th minute, but the goalie,
Oh,
David Bingham,
yeah.
knocked it away with a great play.
Yeah, you know what? I really think he was probably San Jose's best player on the pitch, from what I saw.
So we actually listed Perez Garcia of the San Jose Earthquakes as the man of the match, but you probably lean towards Bingham?
Yeah, I lean towards Bingham. I mean, a couple of just great saves later in the match. I mean, just think about the turn that match would have taken if one of those goals goes in, right?
Right.
The Sounders would have gained a lot of confidence. The Grave Green faithful would have gotten really loud
Got
for
right
long
behind him.
stretches.
Yeah,
The stadium was quiet.
Nagel had another great strike later in the game, and Bingham again came up big. But
Hmm.
Perez Garcia, he had a really good assist, and then had a
That's
goal of his
true.
own to put the game
That's
away.
true. And I have to say, I have to tip my hat on both of those strikes for goals by the earthquake, especially the one by Niasi. Were just, I mean, wow. They were
Uh,
just really, really well struck.
former Sounder.
Former Sounder, and you just got to tip your hat when someone hits a ball so well struck and technical. I mean,
What was the key to this? Was it the loss of Obafemi, Dempsey, etc.?
I think, I mean, it's not just Obafemi, Dempsey, and Alonso. Okay, those are our three big designated players or DPs. Okay, the three DPs are out. We've not done well in those matches, but Marco Papa played, but he was just coming off two World Cup qualifying matches for Guatemala. Where do you think his emphasis was this last week?
definitely
It
not.
was there,
Definitely not on the
and
game. Yeah.
and apparently he was sick as a dog. He has the flu,
Oh, really?
and he went out and played. I mean, he played a really good match. I mean,
Yeah, he didn't
uh,
look like he had the flu.
well, apparently afterwards, all the reporters like he was just like collapsed in his locker. Apparently, so
Oh my
um,
gosh.
we did not get all of Marco Pop, but like we have had like the previous 3 or 4 weeks, he's just been on fire.
Yeah.
And he comes back and he just wasn't quite fully himself, even though I thought he played well.
That offense goes right through him.
It does. It really, really does. It's kind of a weird thing because he's playing kind of the playmaker for the Sounders, and in soccer parlance, and the high mucky mucks in the soccer, they call that the number 10.
Yeah.
But he does it from the wing instead of in the center midfield. What we'll often see a lot of teams use as a attacking center
Attacking midfielder.
midfielder. Yeah, and he does it from the wing, which is kind of different. But yeah, I mean, lately, the last month or so, some could make the argument that he's actually been the Sounders' best player.
Oh, I think so, hands down.
Yeah, and so I mean, the only one that's really given him a run for his money, quite frankly, I think is Stephen Fry. But
Stepped up big time.
he has stepped up big time. So, but I just want to also point out we're missing Panetta. We're missing one of our super subs in Chad Barrett, who's been nicked up.
Yeah, Chad Barrett is Obafemi Martin's number one backup, and he wasn't there for us.
Yeah, and I think it also says something that the young kids aren't ready, because Darwin Jones has only gotten one appearance, I think, back like a month and a half ago in Vancouver.
Right. Christian Ralden hasn't played that much either.
Nope, he hasn't. And then Mansari, I'm saying that right? Mansari.
Oh, yeah.
Who has been ripping it up for S2 and is oftentimes actually on the match day roster. I don't think he's seen the field once.
Not with the big team, no.
Yeah,
okay, so we're digging deep. I don't like the sound of this. We're digging deep into reserves.
we are digging deep. And
we're going down to the minor leagues to get guys. That's not a good place to be.
No, it's not. But just a couple things to point out. This was the second game in a row that Tomas played.
The Brazilian.
He's getting back the Brazilian, the new acquisition that we got like 3 weeks ago. He was chased by the Sounders for like the last 3 years. He wants to be here. He's already talked about how great he loves the fans up in Seattle. And here's the thing: he can play up top. He can play on the wing.
Yeah.
He can play any midfield position, and he can play up top with Nagel, which would actually be a really good pairing as we go through the next 6 weeks or so without Martins and without Dempsey, presumably.
I read 3 to 6 weeks for Obafemi.
It's a groin thing with an abductor strain. It's what Remick had. It's what Remick had last year, and Fisher, I believe, as well. And those two took 8 to 10 weeks to get fully back to full strength.
Okay, and then we lose Deuce for 2 more.
We lose Deuce for 2 more matches, which is actually going to be Wednesday and Sunday, and his suspension's over. Then
he's going to
presumably
miss the Big Timbers game.
He's going to miss the Big Timbers game, and presumably he's going to go off with the U.S. national team. They have a July 3rd friendly as a warm up for the Gold Cup. And he'll be gone the whole month of July.
We'll cover more of this later, but from what I understand, the issues that recently happened back on Tuesday, he might not even play for the Gold Cup team.
He might not. There is a possibility of that happening. We'll get it. We can go into that a little bit more. Yeah.
Well, right now the Sounders are 9-5-2. They're tied for first in the West with the Vancouver Whitecaps, 29 points, and they're second for the Supporters Shield. DC United has 31 points right now.
Yes.
Well, can we talk a little bit about the U.S. Cup?
Yes, by all means.
Well, the Sounders lost 3-1. Obafemi got injured. Clint Dempsey, Brad Evans, Azira, all red carded, all thrown out of the game. We played with 7 guys in that game.
Yep.
And they played with 11. Well, 12 if you include the referee.
I do include the referee. Yes. It was really a frustrating match. It was. Let's just put it this way: that this gentleman who reffed this match had
Daniel Radford
had no business on on
on the pitch.
on the pitch in a game of this magnitude against the two most bitter rivals, I would say, in North American soccer.
Yeah.
And at Starfire Stadium, you know, he's never been a center referee once in MLS.
No, he's only been at the minor league level.
Yeah, and given the relative low opinion I have of the refereeing in MLS, that's saying something. I mean,
worse than the worst that you've seen. That's great.
Yes. I mean, like, honestly, I know we've had our issues with Salazar in the past.
Yes.
I would have taken Salazar in this match, hands down, without a question. I am on it. I mean, he's bad. He's biased, but at least he runs keeps in the right position to make calls.
Yeah.
He maybe makes bad calls and hates us, but he's decisive. I mean, he doesn't let the other team.
Hates us.
He decisively hates us, and he doesn't do stupid things like let himself be lobbied a minute later to throw a second yellow on Brad Evans and kick him out of the match.
Yeah. Well, I didn't like Daniel Radford's record, and apparently the Sounders knew about this guy and protested him even being the official for that game.
Yes, they did. And in fact, they did. And U.S. Soccer said, we don't care. He's the match. Deal with it.
Wow.
Now, I have one other thing to bring up. He lost control of another match a few years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was in 2011, and I'll be honest, I don't have it right in front of me, but he ended up giving a guy a foul, a card, and then getting chased around the pitch by the guy.
Wow.
Which is just ridiculous. Well, also kind of hilarious to those of us that are kind of burning him in effigy.
He's officiated 11 games, had thrown out 13 red cards and 63 yellow cards. It's one red card per game.
Yes.
It's insane.
Yes. It is. And even if you take deuces out of the equation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Brad Evans, the first yellow card was really dubious. The second one, okay. Say what you will. It was definitely a foul, possibly a yellow. A zeros is at most a yellow. I'll be honest, in the run of play, given the rough play that was allowed to happen, I mean, players are getting shoved and pushed. Guys are coming in with cleats high, all over the pitch, across the board. And I just didn't see it, to be honest, much less a straight red. It was just baffling to me.
What I think, I agree with you about Deuce. What he did probably deserved the red card. Ripping up the book, he got the 3-game suspension. That's deserved. But what's really deserved is Radford losing his job. He can't just keep doing this.
Oh yeah, no, I totally agree. He's unequipped to have any contact in any type of soccer officiating. I mean, the kid needs to go back to remedial classes, summer school. Go to extra detention, whatever it is. Like, look, you got to be physically in position. You've got to be decisive. You've got to get. I mean, he was ticky-tacking about throw-ins. Throw-ins are like, here, give or take 10 yards. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, give or take 10 yards, and he doesn't. He's ticky-tacking on that. He lets the Timbers wear whatever uniform they wanted.
That was disgraceful.
No big deal. And let's just get that out of the way. I don't think that's a huge deal, one way or the other.
It was a big deal. It was hard to figure out who's who because it was a web-only match.
Well, that's true, and I will agree with that. But my point is that U.S. Soccer needs to step in and say, look, you two guys are matched up, and Sounders, you need to wear your whites. Period. You're wearing your whites. That's the way it is because the Timbers uniforms are stupid, and they don't have a light uniform. So
they are terrible uniforms. It's like they got their uniforms out of a Value Village or something.
Absolutely.
we got a couple of minutes left here. I just want to get some quick thoughts about the U.S. women's national team. They just recently beat Nigeria. They won the group of death, and now they're moving on.
Absolutely, absolutely. They won the group of death. They're moving on. They actually got a little bit of a boon today in Australia. Australia knocked off Brazil,
Oh, wow.
and Brazil is on their side of the bracket. So their road to the
Just got
final
easier.
four just got a lot easier. They have a Saturday game, or not a Saturday game. Sorry, it's on. It's tomorrow actually. It's at
Monday game? Okay.
5. Yeah, it's at 4 Pacific though, and
That's a knockout match.
it is a knockout match. And you can look for. I don't know if Abby Wambach, who's our most famous player, is going to start or not, but she's definitely going to see the field. Alex Morgan is probably going to start. Hopefully, the U.S. midfield can do the stuff that midfielders do.
Right.
Because right now we don't really have a midfield. We have players that are supposedly playing in the midfield, but they're not really midfielders. They're really attacking players. We don't have a true, real like cohesive unit
And that's been the complaint about this team, is that
yeah.
there are a lot of stars, but not people that are accustomed to specific positions. We just have like an amalgamation of like superstars.
Yes, absolutely. It's been a challenge to find a cohesive bitch, or a cohesive unit really. But I will just say this: their defense has been great. The back five, Hope Solo and her back line in front of her have been really quite amazing.
Oh
to
my
be
God,
to be
250
honest.
minutes without a goal.
Yeah, I mean the only goal they allowed was that first one in the first match to Australia, kind of getting their nerves,
It's
and
kind of a lucky
that's
break.
it. Yeah, yeah. Hope Solo has been just an absolute monster in between the pipes and the net, and I expect them to do well. I really do expect them to do well tomorrow against Colombia.
Go USA. Hey,
Yeah.
Rich, thank you for joining us today. This is Rich Michelson from SSU, our soccer editor, and my name is Abraham Deweese. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.